Welcome to this first episode of Artbeat. I'm Rich Kresge.
And I'm Vanessa Banta.
Coming up on this episode, we have a Master of Fine Arts student, we have a gallery opening, and an interview with the Director of Fine Arts Museum. All that and more on this episode of Artbeat.
Up next, we have an interview with Master of Fine Arts student Michael Hubbard.
It's been a really great experience so far. We have kind of an open program where we meet with faculty and have constant input and critique on our work, but there isn't really a set schedule of your process of making work. It's kind of open what you want to do, how you want to do it, your own time frame, and it's kind of just a small community where you constantly have input and advice, which is especially nice from a diverse faculty here, which they're all really experienced in the art world, so have a lot of great input for everyone. It's really kind of a cross-media program here, so it's strange to have someone specifically painting representationally. A lot of people working abstract, but this is what I'm doing. Mostly working with historical figures and relating those to modern practices and modern painters, modern artists, and kind of dealing with the concept of art in general. So a lot of my work brings in historical paintings and kind of creates like a clash between those and modern artists and modern art, abstract art and representational art. Basically, in the end of my undergrad career, I started to my work started to come together into this theme of addressing levels of illusion and reality in painting, which was where I started to deal with abstraction and representation, and also the visual space of sort of an illusionistic space versus a flat space of the canvas. And I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but at some point I started adding in these art historical figures that were interesting to me, and it kind of just evolved naturally from that. There were these two interests, or maybe three interests, of painting abstraction and letting the paint be paint versus painting really tight, representational, accurate, virtuosic, representational painting. And then my sort of more conceptual interests in art history and art theory, and they all kind of came together. And they're still kind of steadily evolving and starting to think a little bit more deeply about the concepts here in grad school, and figuring out how to make everything work together a little bit better. And it's dealing with the personality of the artist as sort of this person that's raised up as a hero in society. So it's really meant to be ironic and a little bit funny that he's facing off against enemies that aren't seen in the frame. And I think as the work's evolving, it seems like it's going to turn out to be a little bit sad. But Jackson Pollock's kind of a sad story anyway. Some of my earlier pieces that I've just finished last semester dealing with similar themes. There's one that's discussing two modern art critics who were basically enemies, though they pretty much believe the same things. And they're represented by two typewriters in this double panel painting. And then there's a battle going on in the foreground, which sort of represents this exaggerated battle between the two of them, which really means basically nothing. And another painting which features this leaping, strange horse that Andy Warhol's seated on the back of. So I'm really just interested in making these sort of strange compositions dealing with abstraction and representation, and sometimes they might not be terribly accessible to people who don't know about these things that I'm inspired by, but I like to think that the quality of the painting is still something that can be appreciated. Yeah, studio, hope you've enjoyed the work. Make sure you come and check out my show at the end of this semester in April. Hope you've enjoyed everything. Thank you.
Next up, we have the art gallery opening of Smoking Ruin.
I'm Scott Colbert. Well, I've always sort of drawn this way, so my my style is sort of naturally to draw with this kind of this half cartoon sort of comic book style with more kind of naturalistic elements, I guess. So, but I've kind of been integrating together digital printing and hand drawing together for quite a while. So it's been sort of a natural progression from one thing to the next. Well, there's a lot of artists who I love looking at. So, there's some of the old artists like Goya, who's been a huge influence, or let's see, William Hogarth, Kathy Kollwitz is another artist. But I also really love comic books and graphic novels and cartoons like Looney Tunes or different things like that have been real inspirational. So I kind of mix together like lowbrow culture with more sort of stuff you would maybe see in a museum or something like that. And I like to play with the conventions that are along with both of those. I do. Wow, who doesn't love Godzilla or King Kong? I really, they kind of developed, there are these giant inflatable Godzillas and King Kongs all over the town I live in, Spokane. Maybe they're everywhere, but like especially over the car dealerships, they will have like these big inflatable things to try and get people to come in, or those like fan dancer things, that are the fan those around. So I've always been inspired by this sort of kitschy, cheesy stuff that's out there. So I started drawing them, and eventually I just kept drawing King Kong and Godzilla over and over again, and they ended up being kind of associated with these two characters. So one of them, Jeremiah, is kind of a street preacher, kind of crazy, angry guy. So he got the King Kong, who looks pretty angry, and then Heavy Man got the blue Godzilla, and it's just, so once I associate those with them, they kind of stick as kind of a symbol or something. They're like a spirit animal or something like that. So.